everybody. Wow, look at all the people up here.
Hi, everybody.
Boy, those were some oldies, weren't they, Julie?
Yes, they were.
Well, we're in a studio that we haven't used in a long time. This is actually the studio for the show instead of GPRS studio. Welcome, everybody. We want to introduce you to Levi.
Hello.
Levi is the other half of New Hope Behavior Consultants for the Guardians.
Yes.
Nice. So we got an interesting show today. My internet's not stable, so Julie and Levi will take over if I start cutting out. I don't know what the intro looked like or the countdown timer. I don't know if it froze or not.
No.
Looked fine on our end.
Yeah.
So anyway, what we're going to do today is we're going to do something different. We're going to talk about some common issues that we have with the Great Pyrenees, and which can cover other breeds also. And then we're also going to take questions from you folks. If you have any questions, burning questions that you want to get off your chest and maybe help your dog. And we're not going to target anything, and we're going to give you a little more another tool to put in your toolbox, maybe. So, and let's see what happens. Oh, and we have a dog.
There's Velma.
We do have a dog, and now is Velma listed?
She is still listed, and she's available for adoption.
There you go.
She's 9 months old.
Put your camera on her a little bit better. Let's get a little profile.
She's up here in Washington State. Here, she wanted to put 20 years on. Welcome spring and everybody. So she's available. 9 months old.
Wow.
So, she doesn't like the ears.
She actually puts up with everything. I have some treats nearby, so I think that's what she's more interested in.
Oh.
But
so it's not the bunny ears, huh?
Yeah, she doesn't care. She lets me dress her up, which is nice. But
okay. Mark says hi.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. And Jessica said hi to Velma.
There she is. Yeah, she's a good girl.
Yeah.
She is.
How would you say she was?
She's about 8 or 9 months around in there.
Oh, she's just a baby.
Yeah, she's just a baby.
Now, who is that wants on the show?
That's Strudel.
That's Strudel.
Yes.
That's a good name.
Another GPRS. He was a foster fail.
Now, you have 2 Borzois too, don't you?
I do. I have a house full of misfit dogs. So anyway. Yes.
Yeah, I got to see one of the Borzois the other night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah. She has 2 of them. I've never seen one in person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They take up the whole screen is when their nose does. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Nikki has our first question, but it's technical. So the chat box isn't allowing it due to limited characters. What's it not allowing? She has a question. It's not allowing it in the chat box.
Huh.
You're on YouTube. Did I forget to? No, comments are enabled because you just commented. I don't know why it's limited characters.
Huh. Can she give just a brief idea of what it's about?
I have a better idea. You want to come up here and just ask us in person? We'll figure out how you can send me your email at steve@newhopepeers.org, and I will send you a link and get you up here, and you can ask us in person. How about that? And because it must be a YouTube limitation. I didn't know about this. If you don't have Facebook, then you're stuck. But if you have Facebook, you can head over to one of our other destinations and do it if you have Facebook. Okay. So Nikki, if you send my email or send me an email, you can do it at steve@newhopepeers.org. And
put a banner for that or something.
Let's see.
Mark put the link up for you.
Okay. Or you can go to that Facebook page and watch the show from there. But I'll look for my email. All right. Yeah. If you want to come up and ask, then come on up.
Okay.
We have that ability.
Okay. And it looks like Lionel Jeffries, who's a Texas foster, has a question on there, Steve.
Yes, we do. All right. She says, hi, Levi and Julie, too. So we need some challenging activities from Kyle. He's a Great Pyrenees. He's young.
Mhm.
He's older than Velma. Oh, they got the dog from Bradford. Okay. They get a lot of physical activity. What kind of activities would you suggest? Well, probably Levi would be a good one for this.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna
So
take this.
just different forms of mental enrichment, anything that gets their brain thinking, anything that gets them to work a little bit. So something like a snuffle mat, Kong wobblers, bobolots. I have also done in the past saving old cardboard boxes from like cereal or oatmeal and putting, say, specifically my boy's meal ration in it, and then I'll tape it shut and then give it to him to shred apart to then eat the food. You can make it harder by throwing more like crumpled up newspaper, so they have to dig through that too. But anything that gets them to work a little harder than your steel bowl. And you can even freeze some of your other hollow, fillable or stuffable tools. So I've got 2 Kongs in the freezer right now and a lick mat that is our new craze. Ultimately, if your dog is not interested in working for it, you might need to up your ante or make the puzzle easier. Because if it's too hard or not worth it, they'll get frustrated and quit.
And also, Levi, I freeze my lick mats once I put like the peanut butter or whatever on it, and then that way they tend to last longer too.
Oh yeah. So I've got mine in there right now with wet dog food, and then I have crushed freeze-dried raw on it. Otherwise, it's not enough for my dogs. They're like, that's it. So it has to be even better, and then they might go, oh, I guess.
Okay.
And we have Jessica. She has a question about separation anxiety. She adopted Jake from GPRS. And how long? How long have you had him there? I think we need that information too. Do you know that answer, Julie?
Very recent adoption. I would say within a week, less than 2 weeks.
Okay. And I'm assuming that you have to go to work. Okay.
A month. Okay.
You've had him a month. I'm going to leave the question out. I'm going to let you touch on that first, Levi, if you have anything. If not, I will touch on it. Separation anxiety is interesting. Okay. Providing us separation anxiety.
Right. Oftentimes, it's more of the uncertainty that you're coming back, or why are they being locked up. A few different ways to combat this is when you're not actually going anywhere, you're hopefully in for the day, or you have time to just play around. Toss treats, toss toys, toss food in the crate. Don't close it. Let him come in and out as he wants. And the idea is that the fun things happen inside. He's allowed to leave at will. And then as he starts to get a little more comfortable hitting the back of the crate, maybe lingering, and this is fast forward a little bit. He'll tell you when he's ready. You can close the door, open it back up, don't lock it, let him out. You can reward him for coming back out. And then a big thing with the crying and barking while they're already in crate, because unfortunately we live human lives, we have to go places. That's disgusting. We have to. But one of the biggest things is that, I know, making money, it's terrible. One of the biggest things will be if he's in the middle of crying and barking while you're there at home, ideally, always clear medical, make sure that he's not in need of anything, make sure we're empty, we don't need the bathroom, we're not hungry, we're not thirsty. If it's just, oh no, I don't want to be in here, which is also fine, wait for silence, and then you can release upon silence. Alternatively, if we're still going and going and going, you can create, ideally, an inhuman noise so that it's not feedback from you of like, stop it, quiet, don't. So I like a bell or a whistle. I've even knocked on a table. So when they stop and they go, what was that? And then they can come out for silence. So setting them up to succeed.
And there's another thing that you got to keep in mind. If this is going to work as the problem, always remember, when you go out the door, that's not when it starts. You're triggering them when you get up and start your routine. So sometimes we also recommend reversing something in your routine. Okay. Like put your shoes on before you comb your hair or something, just something, reverse it earlier on, extend that to make it where it's no longer a trigger. And we also got to remember you want to associate this with you're coming back. All right. And crate training, there's no rush on crate training, unfortunately. And when we crate train, we don't shut the door right away. All right. And always remember your dog makes all definitions. Okay. Not us. So if it's taking too long, I mean, if you're going too fast, he will give you the definition of going too fast, not us. That's what I mean.
And something to jump off on that as well. Again, with randomizing your own schedule. So if you're not actually going anywhere, or even if you are started earlier, do only one or two of those things, reverse the order, mix it up. And especially on those days that you're not going anywhere, sit back down with all your stuff on, pay for, you're paying your dog for offering you a behavior. You're also hitting that dopamine button in their brain with ideally a special treat, or that love and attention of, wow, look, I didn't go anywhere. So we make it a gamble. You're getting all your stuff on, but you might not go somewhere. And then again, randomizing the use of the crate during the day or at night. It's not just only when you leave. So it doesn't always become, oh no, you're going. Maybe sometimes you just go in the crate to take a nap.
Or to go chill out, be safe.
Right. And then it's also make sure you're never using the crate as like a negative. It's not, you were a bad dog, get in your crate, I'm mad at you. You chewed up the sofa, I'm mad at you. And then once that crate becomes their safe space, do not poison it. So if you're trying to clip their nails and they run into the crate, leave them alone.
You're done.
Wait for them to come back out.
Yep.
Don't go, oh, good, you're cornered now, because now we've ruined the safe space.
Okay. I want to go back to Mikhail. She's been licking Mikhail. I thought that other dog was a male. Huh. I guess not. But when the dog licks a dog like that, especially a new dog, that's a stress relief usually. All right. Just so you're aware. And how do you pronounce the name of that dog? Conchita?
Correct.
Okay. But I don't know if that's the one that the new one or not that Bradford had.
I know they are recent to the rescue as well.
Yeah. But so the dog is stressed anyway, and if Mikhail doesn't like it when she's licking him, she's trying to relieve stress. Well, he doesn't understand. They're not on the same language yet. All right, everybody's too new. So,
and I think they pulled the one bond. They were a bonded pair, and she got pulled, and they're still. I think they just pulled.
That's the same dog, but GPRS didn't know they were a bonded pair.
Right.
Nobody said that. I don't think GPRS. I don't think he was there at the time they pulled her or something. I forget how that went.
Yeah.
But bonded pair got separated. Yes,
right.
It sounds like
you can interrupt and redirect that, but you want to do it only positively, because the other dog is allowed to be like, no, thank you, I'm not into that. And so helping out with Conchita, the idea would be you make fun noises, you make fun sounds, you sing, tap dance, something that grabs her attention instead. And then as you hopefully reel her attention in, keep going, keep cheering her on. Something has to be more fun, hopefully you, than licking Mikhail, so that it becomes a positive interrupter of, oh, this is going to be way more fun. I'm going to go do that instead.
Yeah, and then I got a question. Why is Mikhail still there? Why isn't he adopted? This is an amazing dog, Mikhail.
Yeah, he is.
He can outrun a drone.
That's right.
We got video of it.
That's right.
So, but at the same time, I think Mikhail will be good with her. I mean, he will be. He just doesn't know anything yet. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and this helps it out that he's allowed to have an escape route here. He's allowed to say no, thank you. So help him out.
Right. And what we probably want to consider now, I've never met this dog, but I know a little bit about Mikhail. Is let's let Makayo make these decisions if you have to intervene. That way we don't accidentally interfere with anything as a human, okay? So pay attention to Makayo to see if you have to call Conchita away. Who named the dog Conchita? I bet that was a tough one to spell in the beginning. It's a big brother, annoying little sister relationship. That does change somewhat, but let's listen to Makayo and Conchita and see what they have to say. Let's let them have a say in it. Sound fair? Wow, we had some good questions here so far.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question with the kennel training. Should you use a word when you're doing the kennel training, like kennel, or
Oh yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
ideally, if you're adding a cue, sorry, that's mine. Thank you.
I'll take this one later.
You got Velma's attention. There.
I use Kennel Up.
That's what I use.
And Levi will let me know when we can unmute him.
Good.
Okay.
So I use go home for my boy. I'll just be like, go home, go to your house. I don't know why.
Why does that not surprise me?
I just thought it was
matter
cuter.
what the word is. It doesn't matter what the word is.
It won't matter what your word is as long as you're consistent.
Right.
And then ideally, you're using the cue when they're already either on their way or inside. There's no such thing as naming a cue too late, but there is naming a cue too early.
Right.
If your dog isn't sure of what you're asking, you're just like, kennel, 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 kennel. And they're just like, what do you want?
Give 4 seconds. Give your cue. Wait 4 seconds. Give your cue again. Give the Great Pyrenees a time to do what they do best. Process it. Okay. And what I'm going to start teaching folks, this is actually a talking point. That's a good way to do it too. How about we use your cue word? How about you use no and teach them that you go to your safe place. That way people can stop saying no to the dog because you're confusing them. Always remember the Great Pyrenees, dogs in general, they don't have logic. So they can't. We made right and wrong. We created that, not the dogs. Correct. So they don't know right from wrong. All right.
Correct. Dogs are amoral. There is no such thing as a right or wrong. They are just dogs living in a human world with human rules as dogs. And so they can't make the wrong choice.
No has too many meanings to it. No, don't eat the couch. No, don't eat that chair. No, don't pee over there. No, don't do this. That would be just like teaching your dog to sit, and he conquers that. Then you teach him to come using the word sit. Okay. It's really not much difference there. So
sure. And it's also that no is not a behavior. No. It's not saying no, don't jump. Also, no, don't bark. Yep. Right. So if you're going to say no, which it's a human oops, we say it because we say it to each other. With the ability to retroreflect, oh no, I know what I was just doing. Your dog cannot. So the idea would be if you do say no, because you're human, follow it up with what you would rather them do. No, I don't want you to chew on the carpet, but let's go here instead. No, I don't want you to jump on my guest. Go to your crate. Go to your spot. Let's go to the kitchen. Instead of no, what would you rather see them do? Help them out.
I recommend calling them to you. If you got to say no, they're probably doing a behavior you don't want them to do. Well, call them to you, then give them something to do you want them to do. But call them to you first because everything goes through you.
Oh, and then I'd like to add a bit on the part where you said with the crate being their go-to safe spot. So essentially what I've very fortunately established with my boy, when they start to get upset, when the two of them start to bark, he will start to walk back towards his crate, and he'll usually look over for approval. Am I supposed to go here? And then I'll ask him, go home, good job. And then I will pay him for going into the crate of his own volition and choosing. I saw him make a good choice. I will pay him for making that good choice so that in the future he'll go, you sucker, I'm going to get paid for this. I'm just going to go here.
Well, we're going to get.
And I want him to think that I'm the fool. That he's like, if I go here in the middle of all this chaos, you're going to pay me. And I was already going to do it anyway. And that's
you're
the
tripping,
response
man.
that I'd like to build up.
Yeah.
And that comes with time.
Yep. And what happens if you continue to say no to a Great Pyrenees? It's just confusion. Pretty soon, confusion turns into frustration.
Mhm.
And you don't want your dog to be frustrated because of the way you handle him.
Mhm.
That's not what you want. And you'll get frustrated. Dog gets frustrated.
Mhm.
And then you're going to end up biting your dog. Or maybe the other way around. We don't want
And
either one.
if the same thing is not working over and over and over, what can you,
Stop
the
doing
human,
it.
change?
Yeah.
What can you, the human, change to help them change? They're not
Right.
going to go, oh, my bad. Let me fix the issue. They're going to be like, I don't know why this is working. I don't know why you're still saying that word.
Yeah.
You change.
Yeah. You have to send your signal in a way your dog is capable of receiving it. Okay. That is my internet got destabilized again. So go ahead. You're
Yeah, I
up.
see it.
But we can hear you talking, Steve.
Okay. But I'm irritating myself. So Levi, you're
Oh,
up.
sure. Yeah.
Right.
So it's okay to have the human slip of no, because we do, but have a backup plan of what you'd want them to do. And if they aren't able or aren't in the moment willing to follow through, help them out. What can you do to help them out? It's not a one-way street. You're a team. So work with them. What can you change to meet your teammate halfway?
Right.
Yeah.
Where are we located?
Yeah. Always remember that your dog's not giving you a hard time. Your dog's having a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
He needs a hand. Where are we located? Well, we're in 3 different parts of the country. Levi's in Michigan, I'm in Ohio, and Julie's in Washington.
Right.
We do a lot of our work virtually, Julie, and with this platform right here when my internet is right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the question from Lainey Peters?
No, I did not.
Okay, it's right above.
There it is.
Julie's. Yeah.
There it is. I see it. That one.
Yeah.
You're up, Levi. Oh, no, that wasn't a question.
Yeah,
Well,
that
it's a
was-
statement, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, that was a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so that actually does work in a similar fashion with tone. Dogs are, for the most part, I would say majority body language, and then from there it's tone. You could stand in a non-threatening way while telling them they're the dumbest thing that you've ever seen. I don't know why you'd ever say that, but if your tone is nice and your posture is nice, they don't really care what you're saying. But if you're standing in a threatening way and still saying something in a nicer tone, you're sending mixed signals. You might get mixed signals back. So with your tone, your different tones of your no or don't do that, or her name of, like, I have one with my boy. I'll be like, Silas, and there's always the tone I use, I guess.
Yeah.
And he'll just kind of look at me, just like, what? And then that has been his new attention getter. So I have to also change my tone. If it's not a situation of, I'd like you to not do that, I have to remember to change my tone too.
Right. Now, I can elaborate a little bit on Paul here. Now, Paul isn't doing what it actually says. Paul is kind of a dog magnet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And his body language, they don't even pay attention to what he says. They pay attention to what he means. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He sends the signals back and he can say anything he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Because his body language is communicating. He's speaking dog while he's doing whatever it is he's gibbering about, because that's what his dogs are watching.
Absolutely.
I happen to know Paul. Never met him in person. One day,
Oh,
one of his dogs is on my bucket list. That's sad. I don't have a single human on my bucket list.
you don't need any.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm going to bring Julie up because we don't. We got us a question here. We'll bring you up here again in a second, Julie. Hey, we got it on there. I guess we're not bringing you up on the show. That's a long question. So I'll let Levi read that while I jabber here.
Yeah, you go jabber.
Yeah. We always want to make sure your dog knows what you're asking of them. So no confusion. If you want them to sit, what do? Well, you give some sort of a signal. That's my hand signal for sit, from lower. But so always make sure they know what you want them to do. Because as a default, if they're confused and you're wanting them to go somewhere and they get confused, they're going to sit because that was what you always ask them to do, and that's what they remember. So if you ask them to go away and they sit, they might be confused. So
this is a half of a question. It looks like the rest is still coming through. But first, just to congratulate you on building up your dog's confidence together as a team, that he was able to start coming through doorways. Similarly is where he is starting to show that major attachment to you. I mean, they're allowed to be attached. They're allowed to have feelings. They're allowed to have needs and wants. In this case, where depending on how the rest of this question ends, showing them as well, they will still get this attention. That you, the human, you're allowed to pay attention to other animals or people. You're allowed to divide your attention, and you can reward patient waiting with more attention. The idea of and again, depending on how this question ends here,
I have a feeling I know how this question is going to continue with.
There's the second part right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is, if it's the way I think it is, this is a common thing with well, pretty much any dog, but I can only speak for Great Pyrenees, Maremma, Akbash, and Kuvaz.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk while we're reading, Julie. If you want.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
And the prior question there was from Julie saying she needed to surrender her or find a home for her 1.5-year-old female. Julie, the best advice we can give you is to find a Great Pyrenees rescue.
She's in Florida.
In your area, or definitely if there's not one available, I would say make it sure it's a large breed rescue. I would check with them first to make sure that they've worked with Great Pyrenees before or livestock guardian dogs. Their surrender or their owner surrender process for any rescue is much better than just trying to rehome it. They have a thorough screening process for all adoptees, and they'll make sure that your dog is vetted and safe and in a home with a foster. If not, I would still contact them and they can give you any direction.
Right. This is where I thought Nikki was going. All right. Mm-hmm. There's a possibility, Nikki, here that they're not fighting for your affection. There's a possibility they're fighting because one came up. For example, you call one of them up and the other one comes. Well, the other one's an intruder. And now he just went into the other dog's space without consent. A lot of dog fights aren't created for the reason we think they are. Well, not all the time, but sometimes. Sometimes it's just, especially new dogs, it's about personal space. All right. Trigger stacking, kind of. Are you done reading that, Levi? Because we can't see you.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Levi.
So as far as what it'll start out as management is your best prevention. The more you can prevent the practice of them either getting into like a scuffle, if it is over like a resource, or even you or food. Again, management is your best prevention. So if that means we have no toys on the floor, we have more barriers in place. So I did a lot of the separate training while still being in the same room as my two, because the one would scream in one room while I'm trying to work with the other, and then the other would hear the other screaming. I have two. And then it'd be like, okay, well, nobody's working. Yeah. So what it might start out as even, so I'd use a baby gate in a hallway. So I'd be in one room with the other baby gate, the dog, the other one's on the other side of the gate. I can work with both at the same time while also placing myself between the gate and the other dog. So you have two barriers. So you're still there for both of them, but they both get to work side by side without being in danger of a scuffle.
and you can teach them teamwork, reintroduce teamwork and a number of things. I actually see the problem of it is that we don't have a profile on the two dogs here. Okay. So we're not sure what the trigger is. All right.
So it's a general answer for general management.
Rest assured, it's probably not you. Okay. It's probably something else that is in dog language. Okay. Now, there's Debbie. She had the bonded pair on the show. Can't remember their names, but so we would have to do something. Is Nikki GPRS foster? Julie, do you know?
Yes.
Okay. We should probably talk about this. Either one of us, me or Levi, go out to newhopepeers.org and set up an appointment. All right.
So, Nikki, that's a great idea. They're more than willing to help with that. So I would definitely look into scheduling an appointment with Steve and Lionel.
Or Levi. Levi can do this one also.
Sure.
Believe it or not,
I
don't think this is going to end up being a big deal. Okay.
No.
We typically,
as long as it is what it sounds like, it sounds pretty doable.
I'm old, so nothing I have you do is going to be hard work. All right.
Yeah.
There's always another way. And also, too, anytime you're trying something with your dog and it's not working, stop doing it. Okay. They're not here to obey and comply. Okay. That you got the wrong breed for that. So, yes. Thank you, Debbie. That was Plato and Pandora. I knew they got adopted.
Those are good names, too. I like those.
Now, she's not fresh out of dogs, is she, Julie?
I don't know. I don't think she was up for fostering by that.
She did amazing work with those
transport, right?
She did amazing work.
Yeah, but it looks like she's getting 2 new ones next week or next transport in April.
All right, way to go, Debbie.
Oh, and then so it looks like tips for working on recall as well.
She has her foster.
Not yet. In April, she's getting 2 new ones. So she wants to prep for working with recall.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So to work with recall and so this is something that I have to work with frequently.
That'll get you prepped.
Yeah, I do dog training in my professional time here. So recall's a really big one. You always want to set them up for success. Of course, we don't want it to be come, and they stare at you and they're just like, bye. And then we've accidentally taught them that come in this case was completely optional. Don't mind me. I'll say it 12 times and then give up. You always start in the easiest possible environment. This goes for anything and everything. It goes for learning to sit, learning to triple backflip, learning to recall, to watch, focus, anything. It needs to start in the easiest possible situation. So indoors, you could start on leash. I've started it with, if we're on leash, I'm walking backwards, I'm dropping treats as my dog is coming to me, so that you also build a reliance that it's something worth it. Recall will almost always be one of your most expensive behaviors to pay. At the end of the day, we're asking you should ask your dog or yourself, why should your dog do the thing that you've asked? If we're outside barking up a storm or smelling the trees and peeing on fences and you're like, come in here, I have to go to work, and your dog looks at you like, I'm having the time of my life out here, I don't think so.
Now let's talk about a Great Pyrenees way of looking at it for a second.
Sure.
The problem you're going to run into with recall, there's prerequisites with the Great Pyrenees to put in place. First of all, they have to know they've got you to turn to, for one. And number 2 is, you got to make sure something good always happens when the dog comes to you. All right. Now, the problem with recall in Great Pyrenees, everybody thinks they're stubborn. Well, I can support that under one condition. If you try to make a Pyrenees do something they don't want to do, you're going to see a stubborn streak wider than a 4-lane highway. Okay. But if they're on duty, they're not being stubborn, they're being committed to their job. And if they leave, there's no one to take over for them, they're not going to leave. So one of the prerequisites for recall is you have to partner with them. and they will teach you their job, and it's not all that hard. Okay, so Levi's got some good ideas. I actually have structured stuff that I do with this because we don't want to confuse it. Levi's going to put you in the right direction. Now, by the way, Levi, I usually, if you got a fenced-in backyard, I never use a leash on teaching recall. I always give them the option to make a choice.
Ooh,
With
hang
leash,
on,
it's
you're
hard
getting
for
choppy.
them to make a choice. Sorry, okay, you're up.
Hang on, yeah, you're choppy. So I think that's a good point. If you have a fenced-in yard, it can work. If your goal is then, 10 minutes in, okay, I'm done, you should come when called now. Think again. If you are working outdoors as well, you're now also competing against sights, sounds, smells, animals, passerbys, other dogs, cars, bikes. And if your dog is either too distracted or immediately, like my two, over threshold, that the treats or care will no longer work for them, then in this case, they may need to be unleashed to help re-guide them through. Up your ante as well if you're going to a harder situation or a more stressful situation. Your dog is not going to come when called for a dry cookie. I promise. My two will also only work for freeze-dried raw or raw. And even then, they won't do it outside because mine are over threshold, totally different situation. But the idea is, if I come to you and leave behind this thing that's way more fun, are you going to pay up? And then never poison your recall. If we got in trouble or you found a potty accident or somebody ripped up your mother's doily that was made out of spider silk because you left it too low on the cabinet, that's your bad. I'm sorry. But if you go, get over here, now I'm mad at you, now I'm screaming at you, why would they ever come back? If I come to you this time, are you screaming at me? Or am I getting a cookie? I don't want to take that chance. What if you yell at me? What if you grab me? So even if you're upset, take it somewhere else, not at your dog, somebody else, whoever left the cookies too low on the counter, but not your dog. Just good job, wow, for coming back to me. Go somewhere else. Let's go do something more productive and then go be upset somewhere else.
The Great Pyrenees is known for making very intelligent, snap decisions in emergency situations. Never forget that. You've got a smart breed, and you got to treat them similar. So they just don't have logic. They're black and white in the way they think. Yes. Now, see, Paul, his recall, he's got like 10 million acres. They can run away and never leave his property. All right. Get lost, never leave his property, but he's a good guy. We tried, Debbie, and if something's not working, they're not responding, just stop doing it because that's going to spoil it. Okay. There's another way that we just got to send the signal a different way.
You can also, especially for these expensive behaviors, you can pick a brand new novelty, high value treat that you only use for this occasion, so that it doesn't become, oh, I get hot dogs whenever I want. It could be, I really get a good hot dog or multiple pieces of a hot dog that we now think is a whole hot dog and it's not.
Yeah.
If I come when called in a situation that I can succeed. You can also do, it's called jackpotting. You cut this hot dog's my example. Watch the sodium in those. You can cut the hot dog into multiple little pieces and then feed one piece at a time so that they think they're getting 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces, but it's just 1/4 or whatever this hot dog.
You trainers go through a lot, don't you?
We can, but that's where if you're cutting them up into small pieces, then you save on your treat budget, you save on their calories for the day. But the idea becomes, wow, I just got 12 treats, but it's really in human, it's like, oh, all I did was cut that up. But feeding it one at a time, they think they're getting multiple pieces. So you jackpot it and you make it the most valuable thing in the world.
Now, in the behavior world, the jackpot's a little bit different. The jackpot is the ultimate reward, including the human emotion, because it comes natural. If the dog's, am I freezing? Okay. When the dog conquers something finally, what do? All right, good. Well, let's channel that to a good emotion because we don't want them to do tricks for treats. We want them to do it because he wants to please you. You're the treat in the end. Okay. And trust me, Great Pyrenees is very good at pleasing their humans, aren't they, Julie?
Yes.
They're very good at that. Levi knows it too. He's got two of them over there that, and make no mistake, I have quite a few, and Levi has two. Julie has more dogs than most people have children. So, and we have similar struggles. The only difference of it is well, we learned how to handle it differently. Okay.
We have the muscle memory ingrained from practice, from teaching others. And to slightly tweak on what you've just said, where you're the reward, your dog decides that. Hopefully you are the reward. As an example, my two absolutely do not want to be touched when we're training or when they're getting treats. They'll go, ew, don't touch me, or they'll leave.
Do you beat them?
Obviously, all I do is slap them around. But for them, the reward is, I just want my high value treat. We can throw a verbal party, but do not touch it. And that's fine. Your dog decides what that reward is, and that is up to them.
Yeah. Never always give your dog a way out. Okay.
Yes.
Always give them a ability to say no to you.
Yes.
Okay. Because you're going to want to let him make a choice so you can teach him good choices. Because every time he chooses you, that's a good choice. But if you don't give him the ability to make a choice, you can't teach him to make good choices. So,
right. So to add on to that that's called a reset treat. And that's what I'll do if I'm working one-on-one, especially not in a group class setting or like a dog pile, so we don't start a food fight. If I'm working one-on-one or I can clearly alter the paths of my two, I'll toss it over their shoulder so they can leave to go get it. And if they hesitate or if they walk away, we don't have to work anymore. You're done. End it on a good note. Sorry.
Just like that, right?
Yep. You end it on a good note so that they leave feeling good, and that by having the option to opt out, they are more likely to choose to opt in. So toss that reset treat over. If they come back, keep going for a little longer, try again, see how they're doing, but always end on a good note.
You have to meet the needs of the dog, because I tell a lot of people, the more you meet the dog's needs, well, the more he'll meet your needs and the less needs he will have. Okay. Nikki made an appointment.
Great.
Cool.
I just saw the email pop up. Not sure who with, because I don't get that part yet.
Right.
Probably
nice work, Nikki. Good job.
We hear him. Yeah.
Now, you notice Levi is not yelling at his dogs. He's not screaming at his dogs, because make no mistake, you don't have to yell at the Great Pyrenees. They can hear a fly fart 6 blocks away. You don't have to yell at them. Okay. They can hear you. But you notice he went and met their needs.
Right.
They were barking for a reason. Great Pyrenees don't bark for no reason. You may think they're barking for no reason because you can't see anything, but that fly
feels like they are sometimes.
That fly could have farted 6 blocks away.
Right.
All right.
And they have such large ears, Steve.
And besides that, you never knew how dangerous your lawn furniture was until you got your Great Pyrenees, did you? Right.
Well, then you're lagging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
It's those big ears that they can hear so well, right, Velma?
I always say, because my two are car reactive also, I always say the only reason a car hasn't crashed into my apartment yet is because mine to scare them away. They're doing their job, I guess. Yeah. It's the only reason we haven't died yet.
Now, Paul made a comment about walking your dogs every day. It's pack building, and that's always his first.
I'll walk 8 dogs at a time. Okay. I mean, all the neighbor farms dogs come to him.
Right.
He's a magnet. But he's got it going on. He's a good guy.
And that's a good way, Steve and Levi, to introduce your dogs as well, the new fosters or new adopted dogs that come into the home.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
GPRS always recommends for the first 3 days, keep them separated. Okay. And if you don't do that, at least do proper introductions. Don't let them have bad first impressions of each other. Okay.
Mhm.
We actually have
For meeting new dogs, especially if your intention is to foster or adopt, or however you acquire this new dog, um, or even if you're meeting your cousin's dog and the cousin is staying for a week, it's always better to meet on a neutral space if possible, somewhere that they can also freely disengage if they need to, as well as ideally, hopefully, you have a way to help them disengage if they get stuck. Um, that going on like a group walk parallel to each other is a pretty solid way
well, they got to
to
sniff
introduce.
butts. So let's go in line. Let one come
Yeah,
up, sniff the butt,
yeah.
then
So they can
reverse.
do the greeting. Sorry, I don't know why she's chatty now. They can do their greeting, and then after you can begin
Right.
your walk, and you can still check in and
Now,
keep
here's
your
something
walk
you
going.
don't. I didn't get it at first. When they get a GPRS dog, they went from Houston, Texas, all the way to Pacific Northwest. That's a heck of a ride. A
It
lot of
is.
stress. That's
Oh
where
yeah.
this is where I do support Melise. Give them some time to chill here. That was a heck of a ride, and they can't make it straight through. The transport has to lay over, okay?
Right.
And I forget how many dogs they can hold. I remember I was there.
Over 20 on
Yeah.
the van.
Wow.
So there's now once they're rolling, most of them sleep. Stuff is the commotion's not there, but
Right.
there is still commotion. Okay. And so give them a chance. Don't just throw them to the wolves, so to speak. I know you don't have wolves, but except for Sydney, she actually has one.
And probably the reason that GPR says the 3 days is it's your 72 hours in which the cortisol in the brain is raised over a stressful
That's
event
right.
or an air snap or a reactive explosion, as in your dog sees something they don't like and then they just like explode their emotion. There's no such thing as a bad emotion or a wrong emotion. There's destructive behaviors, there's less ideal behaviors that we deem. But your dog is allowed to have these feelings. Your dog is allowed to experience stress just as we do. So that I imagine that 3 days is the leeway to bring the cortisol down. But there's other ways to also help facilitate that or work along it side by side in whatever way best suits the household.
But always remember they got to sniff butts. Don't put them nose to nose. That's that's an altercation just waiting to happen. Sniff butts. Butts don't bite. Okay.
Yeah, that's not the surf end.
Right.
All right. I stole that from Roman. All right. I don't know where he got it. I know I'm choppy again.
Yeah,
No, you're coming through well, but yeah, that seems to. I know some of our adopters have even despite some coaching before and such that the dogs it's on peer time, not their time, as how they want to introduce or integrate into the home. And I know there's frustration or just saying I can't do this is not working, and so that's where we find that we have to talk to them about proper introductions and knowing that it's not built in a day. And
we have stuff in writing.
Right.
You adopt a dog from any rescue. You're not in it alone. Okay, you've got support. You've got resources. Okay?
Right.
And but always remember, this is about the dog. His brain is black and white. All right. So and stress is a big thing. It really is. And they're not, your dog and his dog may not even be speaking the same language yet. So you just got to give them a chance, but when you separate them, but not isolate them, separate them, not isolation. So they got to be able to see each other. And as soon as and got to remember, you're destabilizing your resident dogs too. Okay. Who's that, Mom? You two-timing me? All right. So that's where where a lot of people think that the dogs are jealous over you, which could be. Don't get me wrong. They do feel jealousy. At least Pyrenees do. There was actually a study on that. And but man, when you're on a walk and your dog starts going Cujo because he's protecting you, he's going in self-preservation. He can't protect you unless he protects himself first. All right. So, but sometimes the human parent, your triggers a lot. Okay. You do trigger a lot of behaviors, and you teach a lot of the peer paw. That's a learned behavior, just so you know.
Yeah.
And it's a cool one. If they would learn everything else as quickly as they learn the peer paw, wouldn't that be awesome?
I think it's really cute.
Yeah. Because all you got to do is your dog comes up and paws you. If you even look at him or touch him, there it is for life. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of unwanted behaviors, we accidentally create them. We teach them.
Oh, absolutely.
Or actually, we approve them. Okay.
Right. The idea is, if you want to see a behavior again, reward it. If you don't want to see it again and you rewarded it anyway, guess what you will see again?
That's right.
That includes, especially with attention-seeking behaviors, something like barking in the crate, demand barking. Even saying, no, stop, quiet, don't do that, is still attention. You are still paying.
Yeah.
It's not the attention they wanted, but they still got it.
Yeah. Nancy makes a very valid point. And
Yes.
24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, 30 days, maybe 60, 90 days, that's not enough time.
Mhm.
Okay. You're not even seeing his personality yet. Okay. He's a brand new dog. Give it time. Don't give up. Give him time. Remember, he's the one having a hard time, the dog, he or she.
Right.
So, and they're counting on the parent, you. So don't give up on them.
Right.
They won't give up on you ever. So,
Right. And the other thought too, maybe just to mention, since we're talking behaviors, is when you start seeing an unwanted behavior, it's best to reach out to
as soon as possible.
rescue as soon as possible, because there's people and resources to help you within the rescue, with Steve and Levi, Roman, whomever you use, that you want to kind of nip it in the bud before it gets way too late in the game. And then they're going to say, this dog's terrible, I'm returning it to the rescue. Here's these bad behaviors. And these are things that could have been dealt with early on when you start to see them.
See, a lot of behaviors that the dog is doing is because he's new. That's not, those behaviors probably aren't part of him anyway. He's in survival. Okay. And I know, what you want, what the dog wants, two different things. So we got to go slow here a little bit. Let's go at the dog's pace, but you're not going to know the dog's pace right away because he doesn't have one. He's self-absorbed.
Right.
Okay. And Roman, by the way, I'm glad you mentioned, he sends his apologies because he has to help a dog right now because he had an appointment at this time. So, or he was going to be here. He's going to help out. So, but there's all kind of resources. I personally work with 5 of the Great Pyrenees Rescues, which Levi does too. I don't know, probably has, but you're getting one back that was adopted yesterday. See, that's what I was just talking about. That behavior it's hard to say. I'm not sure which dog she's talking about, but always remember, if you return the dog, the slot that dog left in has already been filled. There's a line waiting to get into any rescue in this country. All right. And shelters. So there's help. So I'll have to talk to you, Nancy. I'm curious on who's coming back. And I know it doesn't matter now, but it's already, oh, really? Yeah. Growled and snapped at the resident dog. That's there's why Melise wants them to be separated for the first 3 days. Period. Right there. That's why. Because she growled and snapped at the resident dog. That's impossible.
Growl and a snap.
Separated. That's communication. That says I'm not comfortable.
Absolutely. That wasn't contact. That wasn't somebody getting their face ripped off. That wasn't a puncture. That was a very polite warning that the dog said, no, thank you.
Right.
And in the moment, it's absolutely scary, especially with a brand new dog. But you want as much information as possible.
Now, here's the thing. The resident dog probably, walked away. Recognized the communication.
Yeah.
But the human, okay, anytime you have something like that going on, there is a fine line between a human intervening and a human interfering. Okay. We don't want to interfere. They can work this out. We draw a line. We don't want an altercation. But you see, two Great Pyrenees can sound like World War III in there. And you go running in there. Oh my God, I got to save my dog's going to be blood everywhere. And there's not even any fur in anybody's mouth. They were working it out themselves. Okay. They're pretty good at it. Usually when they can't is when we interfere. All right. But we got to be aware, because if they can't work it out, we got to recognize that and then help. Don't yell at them. If the two dogs are trying to work it out and you go yelling, that will create the altercation right there. So let's be aware of all of this. There's a different way of doing this. Cesar Millan's way, don't do that. If you force the Great Pyrenees to submit, guess what? He's a little stronger willed than you are sometimes. They're bred to stand their ground, all right? Not tuck and run. So, but there's other ways. There really, really is, and we're happy to help. And because I don't know if there could be perfect peers out there that doesn't need any help, or we could have parents that actually can get to see their needs and they meet them. Right? Because that's big. I know there's a lot of good ones out there. I'm working with a lady right now that, man, ding, we got it. I may not hear from them anymore. Right. I get this. Wow.
And a lot of the Texas fosters, and, they're such wonderful people. They're getting those dogs that are, have been in shelters that, what a high stress situation. They were probably running the street before that, abandoned, starving, scared, lonely, all those things. And so that brings on a whole nother set of, issues along with that. So there's a lot for those dogs to process and work through, coming into a new foster or being adopted, they need to, I guess they need that confidence, and they need to, feel security, some food security, things like that.
Right. And always remember, confidence. In order to have confidence, the dog has to have knowledge. Confidence comes with knowledge. Okay. Now, if they're struggling, Levi actually has a confidence building program that actually more than one, but that he uses. All right. That's a trainer thing. Levi goes beyond the training. Okay. And, but he is a trainer. I make fun of him sometimes. Hey, why you work so hard? Well, we do it this way. We do different things actually. Okay. But he also does very well with behavior. But see, here's the thing about Levi. He knows where his limits are. Okay. He's not going to even try to exceed his limits. And although his limits are expanding more, further and further every day, he's really
trying.
Yeah. You're doing good, Levi. So, look who's here. Hi,
yeah.
Rebecca.
There you go.
For those of you that don't remember, the day we had Dr. Mead on, Rebecca had the puppy on that she saved from certain bad life. And, Ang had his surgeries. He's now through recovery. The surgery was a complete success.
Good.
It was a soft tissue surgery. You remember you were on the show that day because Dr. Mead, Julie, was your guest. But Appa is doing great. I'm sorry, Ang is doing great. Appa needs Levi.
That's great. And I did see Dr. Mead this morning, and for Strudel went for therapy, and she's agreed to come back on the show.
All right. So we have a vet that specializes in post-surgery rehab, right? Okay. She does water therapy and whatnot.
Acupuncture, kind of holistic medicine along with.
She was on the show, late November, early December, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, she was very, very, and she's a DVM. She's a vet too. I mean, she doesn't practice veterinary medicine. She chose her field. and it's a very important field. Okay. But boy, we learned some stuff from her that day, didn't we?
Yeah, we sure did.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Happy to
we're
have her
excited.
back.
We'll
Yeah.
you have to try to get her to give us as much notice so we can let people know that she's going to be
Sure.
on a certain date. That'd be great.
Sure.
Levi, you willing to come back as a guest? Because you
Of course.
changed jobs.
Yeah,
He gets to work with dogs all the time now.
all the time, including mine.
Yeah. He works for a facility up there in Michigan that it's a boarding facility, right? And probably daycare, I would assume.
Yep, correct.
And he is night shift because there's a human there 24/7.
Yes.
That's
Mm.
cool.
So and then I bring my two. They get a whole yard to themselves. I get
Yeah.
paid to hang out with them. It's
Yeah.
kind of nice.
Yeah, Levi, he has broken all the rules. He lives in an apartment with 2 Great Pyrenees,
Yeah.
and you've been there a while.
Yeah, almost 3 years now.
Either you filled your walls with foam, or, well, you're managing it.
Must be doing something right, I hope.
All right, you're going to have to say the goodbyes. I got destabilized.
Yep, you sure did. If you want to lead the farewells, Julie.
Well, we want to thank everybody, first of all, for joining us today, and especially thank Steve and Levi for helping to talk through some great issues that I think not just are the people that wrote in, but also we know that other fosters and adopters deal with on a daily basis too, with their dogs. You know, feel free to reach out. And Steve, you're back. So
yeah, this was an interesting show. We may have to do this again, maybe.
Right.
We'll see.
Paul
because we'll-
approved.
Yeah, and Velma, maybe you'll have a different foster by then.
Well, maybe not, if not a foster, let's hope for an adopter.
Yeah. Boy, she's
You're not going to
beautiful.
foster fail?
No, we have a house full.
Yeah,
right now.
she sucks as a foster, so she's got to get this one adopted
Right.
because she keeps keeping them. All right.
Uh-huh.
Well, I figured I fostered 180 dogs, so to have 7 is not such bad odds.
Right.
Mm.
Boy, thank you everybody for joining in. We're kind of surprised. We didn't expect this kind of interaction. We had a whole bunch of backup for fillers because we didn't think we had enough content for an hour. And you guys are superstars.
Yeah.
All right. We got some good viewers, don't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, and you
Great
got great
fosters,
adopters.
great adopters.
Yeah. So wow, that's amazing. So there's resources. All right. I don't walk on water. I know Levi doesn't claim to because I'm just a rookie. I've only been working for 35 years with this breed. I'm just a rookie here but I even went to school so I can learn how to let the dogs teach me.
Yeah.
All right. A little bit different way of looking at it. That's all.
Oh.
So don't say no to your dog. Call them to you instead. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Crate training. Don't start it the morning it's time to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And always remember, if the dog has thunderstorm anxieties, we may have a solution there, but don't start it just before the storm.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they got fear of fireworks, don't start it on 3rd of July because sometimes that can take a while.
Yeah.
One dog, it took
Yes.
13 months, but we don't give up. We don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
The method is going to work. We have a loop of thunderstorms, different types of thunderstorms. Now, it does take some hardware requirements. Subwoofer. All right. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have.
Yeah.
You did great, Levi. I hope you come back. Because you
Yeah.
don't work on Sunday afternoons unless you're working with dog, right?
Correct.
Okay. I hope you guys give him a warm welcome in the comments because he did great.
He did.
And he does great at New Hope. So he's inspiring.
Do it for the dogs.
Yeah. Levi's a good guy. I met him in person too. He brought me a dog, but it was for a rescue. Okay. He saved him. He saved one that good dog too. She's right.
Somebody had to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's right next door.
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody.
All
We'll
right,
see you
everybody.
next week. Hopefully, we'll get some dogs on.
Yep,
All right.
hopefully.
Everybody was busy or shy, one of the two.
Yep.
All right.
You'll get them next time.
Hey, maybe we can get your dogs on, get them adopted, Levi.
Yeah, you can have them both for Circus Peanut.
Bye, everybody.
Hang on, I gotta get this
Bye.
queued up here. All right, here we go. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.